I'm going to get my bead, and I'm going to place that bead. Small opening first, and get that in my vise. I've got a little bit of lead left over. I'm going to use what I had left over. Okay, and I'm going to force that forward into the back of that bead, and try to make this bobbin work. Size 10, 3XL. Yeah. Okay, I got my lead on. I got my thread base. Now I'm going to put my Marabou on. And the length, watch the length, guys. Some of you have a real problem. You're making your tail much, much longer than the hook length. Okay, that's still too loose. I'm going to bring it in a little bit. Okay, I'm going to forward a little bit. Get rid of this extra. Okay.
Oh my God. There it is.
Okay, I follow you right there.
Okay, now I've got to put on my FLASHABOU.
Yeah, the FLASHABOU is what I...
Okay.
You just have 2 strands hanging out, or?
What you want is 2 on each side. So when you double it, it's got to be long enough that those 2 strands will be long enough for 2 on each side, which you get when you fold it double. I'll end up wasting a little bit, but I'm going to put 2 strands on the side facing me. I'm going to tie that in. I'm going to move up toward the eye just a little bit with my thread wraps, and then I'm going to take those 2 strands and pull them back toward the rear, tie them in on the opposite side, and then I'm going to trim all those about the length of the Marabou.
Okay, wait a second. You start with 2.
And I lay them right against this side, and I put a couple wraps to secure it. Okay. Now I'm going to lift that up. I'm going to bring them back to the other side, so I have 2 on each side. Okay. Now I'm not going to tie in my hackle now because it's going to be at the front of the fly. So now I've got to get in my Estatz and that red subcoat. I'm going to try and tweak that off until I've just got some thread left. And I'm going to tie that thread tip in. Okay. Then I'm going to tie in my red wool. When I tie that in, guys, I lay it out so that it's toward the, I'm going to make sure it's behind the eye of the hook, but I'm going to lay that over the top of my hook shank and cinch that in. It gives the body just a little bit more bulk, not much. And when I've got that tied in, then I'm going to have to bring my thread back up behind the bead.
Is he causing trouble?
Okay? Got it, Kevin? Okay, we're going to take that red, and I'm going to try to make those wraps fairly tight, but I want them right beside each other. I want to see none of that peach underneath. As you wrap, you almost have to wrap back toward the left a little bit to get really good coverage. I didn't like the chenille because it made the subcoat a little bit too bulky, and I had a spool of this. I don't know where I got it, this yarn, and it seemed to cover well, and I didn't have the trouble of crowding the eye as much. Okay, now you see I've left some space. Come on. Work. No. Notice, I've left some space there. Can you see how I've left some space? I'm going to tie that off. I want to leave, man, my bobbin, I can't even, it's just not working at all. And I'm going to trim that. Hopefully I won't cut my thread this time. And see if I can get this thing to roll up a little bit. So I don't have that tied off real good yet because my bobbin is malfunctioning. Okay, I'm going to half hitch that so it doesn't come undone. Get that out of my way, and then I'm going to carefully, leaving a little bit of gap, I'm going to wrap my Estatz. I'm going to leave, maybe a 1/16 of an inch between wraps. All right. I'll show you how to put the hackle on the front. Pop. Okay, take a look at this hackle. We've got to for the hackle to show, on the example I passed around, I used some of the longer strands because I wanted to go up higher than the top of my Estatz. So I'm going to use more of the long strand end of this little piece of hackle than this end, because these are much, much shorter. So I only need 2 or 3 wraps. I don't need a lot of wraps. So I've kind of gently folded those back so that they'll be out of my way. And then I'm going to cut off this extra stuff, and I'm going to try to tie that in right behind the eye. Okay, I think I got it attached. All right. If I don't know if you can see, I have a little bit of that hackle sticking out. I don't like that. I'm going to trim that off. Okay? And I don't know if I can get a half hitch on this without everything coming apart or not. I will try. Okay, I've got that half hitched. Now I want to keep that out of my way. I'm going to grab a hackle plier if I brought one. Yeah, I did. And I'm going to grab the stem, and I'm going to make some wraps. I want to start back toward the tail and wrap a little bit forward if I can. And I only need a couple of wraps. Well, my hackle is not cooperating today either. Come on, stuff, work. I think I can salvage some of that stuff. There's 2, and I'm going to try and get maybe another half of a wrap. And this is just, now my bobbin's working. Hallelujah.
You held your mouth right.
I'm going to tie that off right behind the bead. I'm going to put three kind of good wraps, then I'm going to trim my hackle. And my hackle looks terrible. I think I can salvage some of that. I'm going to bring all of that back that I can catch with my finger. And then I'm going to try and wrap over those bent shafts so that it looks a little bit better, but that's not a great one. Anything that could have gone wrong went wrong this time. And then I'm going to whip finish that. I'll give this one to one of my moocher buddies from Texas. It's all screwed up and they'll never know the difference. Okay, well that is just a pathetic one. Couldn't get anything to do right today. And if you got some stuff that's kind of hanging forward, you don't want it there, you can trim it a little bit. I've got several that trying to trim it so that everything is going back. And that's an example with the hackle up front. Maybe easier to put the hackle in the back, but
I have done